Hello, everyone. My name is Ron Booth, and on behalf of the South Fulton Coalition Board of Directors, we'd like to welcome you to this Town Hall Forum. This forum is entitled the 411 on retention ponds, redistricting, and elections. Our speaker tonight is Commissioner Khadijah, and she is a Fulton County Commissioner for District 6. The mission of the South Fulton Coalition is to implement action programs such as this town hall for the continued improvement, accountability, and integrity of the city of South Fulton and its elected officials. Our website is southfultoncoalition.com, and I also want to let you know that we're a 501c3 organization. And I just want to quickly share my screen and take you to our website so you can just see a little bit about us here. So bear with me for just a second, and I'll share that. Once you go to our webpage, you'll see this as our opening page. One thing I want to point your attention to is the 2022 elections. Here you can see that we have a list of town halls that we previously conducted, and you can watch a video of those town halls right here. You'll also see the upcoming town halls included here also. Here's the one for tonight, and then we have another one tomorrow, the 19th, and then our last one before the May 24th election is on the 23rd. The other thing I want to point out quickly is also that we have listed, and bear with me here, previous town halls. So if you want to go in and you want to see the town halls that we conducted before the mayor's race last year and the city council races in 2021, late 2021, they're here. I'll also show you a little bit about us, and you can peruse at your own leisure. But you'll see this here. If you want to sign up for membership, you can click here and just click that button to join. If you want to donate to us, again, we're a 501c3 organization. You can do so there. Right now, I want to quickly go over the ground rules that we have for this town hall. Questions will be directed from yourselves, the residents. And you can ask, we only ask that you be respectful. And if you want to ask a question, please raise your electronic hand by utilizing the reaction features and then raise your hand there. If you don't want to ask the question, you can type it into the chat and we'll ask it for you. Please be respectful to our moderator tonight, and any inappropriate questions or comments or any disruptions will not be tolerated. This is your only warning. We'll exit you out of the meeting if we have to. For this town hall, our moderator will be Mr. Jermaine Sharp, and I'll turn it over to him at this time. Mr. Sharp.
Hey y'all, and thank you for turning things over to me. Again, first, I want to thank everyone for joining us at this town hall this evening, being hosted by the South Fulton Coalition. We are extremely grateful for the people that are even in the background, such as Mr. Ron Booth and Rashard Snellings, for really making this happen. One thing that I'd be remiss not to say is as I get older, I realize there are 100 things that we could be doing and places that we could also be tonight. So I thank everyone for just taking the time to really be here, to ask questions and to learn as much as possible. And if I could just ask a small request right now, I would love for everyone to just take 30 seconds to a minute just to share this meeting, whether it's through text message or through social media or an email, but share this meeting with as many of your neighbors as possible. I know many times we're in coffee shops or on phones talking with our neighbors about the many things that we'd like to see improve throughout our cities or throughout the county in this case. So this is that opportunity where we can call in a lot of our neighbors to have a real conversation and ask the hard questions. So please take this 30 seconds to a minute to text someone that you know, one of your neighbors, to come in and join us this evening. Both engagement and participation, as y'all know, are major keys to a working democracy. So again, as many people as possible that can be here asking their questions, we would love that. My name is Jermaine Sharp. I'm a public affairs professional based here in the Metro Atlanta area. I've had the privilege of serving on various boards throughout Atlanta, such as the Atlanta Pre-Arrest Diversion Board, the Woodruff Park Committee, and a couple of others. Personally, I'm an urbanist, So I'm very into a couple of topics that we'll be discussing tonight, such as the environment. I bike everywhere, I take the bus everywhere. So as we know, traffic and congestion around our city right now, around our county even, and around the metro Atlanta area is getting insane, almost out of control. So I'm hoping that a lot of our questions tonight from our audience will even be focused a lot about on the environment, transportation, and kind of the future of sustainability right now. So on that note, I want to take a second to introduce Chief of Staff Robert Kelly for Commissioner Khadijah.
Hey, can you hear me? Okay, good, good. Well, once again, hi, good evening, everyone. And I'm so glad to see so many people on this Zoom because information is important. And I think that it's important for everyone to not only be informed and aware of what's going on, but be making sure that we're getting accurate information. So thank you all for taking your time to, as Jareem said, jump on this live and ask the questions that you want to know. I'm going to take a brief minute just to share some things with you from the District 6 office. And so in full transparency, I am running for District 5 Commissioner seat, but in this capacity right now, I'm specifically in the role of the District 6 Chief of Staff. And so I will only be answering questions geared towards the actual office. I just want to be clear regarding that. So I just wanted to share with you guys some of the things that are coming up, especially while we have you as a captive audience. I know that everyone is, focused either on the elections or the specific issues that you may be having, but there are a lot of amazing things going on within District 6 and within Fulton County. And so while I have you here, I want to allow everyone to know what's going on so you can also participate in the fun things as well. All right, so this Friday, hopefully you guys have your calendars out, and I'll also do my best after this to put this in the chat. We are hosting a Taste of Soul Food. And so for all of you that don't know, a Taste of Soul Food was a Taste of South Fulton. We were getting a lot of people that only correlated South Fulton to the city of South Fulton. And speaking, when I say we, I mean our office, the now District 6 office. And so what we decided to do is to host programs in various cities throughout South Fulton County so that everyone can know the various things that each city that's located in South Fulton County has to offer. And so the first one coming up is actually this Friday. It's the Taste of Soul Food Kickoff. It's from 6 p.m. until 10 p.m. It'll be hosted by, we call her the Soul Food Queen, Michelle Taylor Willis, and Ringmaster Casual Cal. There's artists will be there. There's a kids zone. There'll have plenty of vendors, prizes, games, and crafts. It will be located on 15 West Broad Street. And so this one will be located in Fairburn. So even if you don't live in Fairburn, we ask you to still come out so that you can see some of the things that Fairburn has to offer. We are also doing another one. We'll be doing it in Palmetto in Chattahoochee Hills. I know that I believe in the one in Palmetto, we're going to have a firefighter face-off. And then I believe the one in Chattahoochee Hills has a lot to do with the agricultural and some of the fun venues that you can see out there. And so this is just an opportunity for everyone to really understand everything that we have to offer at South Fulton County. You know, we are a very rich county, a very rich part of the county. And so I just think it's important that we begin to celebrate who and where we are down at this time. So this Friday, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. And also I will put it in the chat for you as well. I have two more things, but before that, I just wanted to let everyone know, tomorrow we do have a Board of Commissioners meeting. It is at 10 a.m. The agenda is on the Fulton County GA website. It's a pretty extensive agenda. There are a lot of things that I think that most people would want to know, including the COVID update. You know, where are we with COVID? How are we handling it? There's a MARTA. MARTA is really big in Southwest Atlanta and more so coming down to South Fulton. So they will be giving a report as well. And so if you don't, Commissioner Khadijah often does board reports after every meeting. So if you can't don't happen to be able to make that meeting, please feel free to just catch our board report because it's pretty extensive and you can pretty much learn everything like you were there. But if you can be there, we would love for you to tune on, do a public comment, let people know that you're aware, that you're watching, that you're interested in what's going on in Fulton County. So thank you for that. All right, and I'll keep going. We will also be hosting a mental health and wellness event on Saturday, May 28th. That'll be from 10:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. At the South Fulton County Service Center. The activities, there will be a spoken mental health moments. There's art activities, food, games. There'll be workout activities. There'll be COVID vaccinations. The Fulton County Department of Mobile Units will be there as well as Health and Human Services Resource Center will also be there. So I just, the flyer looks like this. We sent it out in our board report. And if you are not currently getting our board report, please put your email in the chat and I will grab it right now and I will put it in our listserv so that you can make sure that you're getting all the information of what's going on in the South Fulton County area. So please come to this. And one of the big things I think that is so important that doesn't get spoke about as often that we will be speaking about here is how mental health issues are dealt with our youth as it pertains to our youth. Currently, our youth, thank you, Ms. Robinson. I see your email there. I'll make sure I grab it. A lot of our youth go undiagnosed and because there's a lot of stigma around mental health. So in our schools, a lot of things happen that we're not aware of. And a lot of our students don't, even though they're having issues with mental health or intellectual disabilities, they go undiagnosed. So we want to take the stigma out of, having issues or having to have some extra help for our young people. So please come out to this event, learn what we're doing, and learn how you can spread the awareness about mental health. All right, I'm almost done, I promise. I just want to make sure that you guys know everything that's going on in the immediate moments. On Friday, June 24th, we are having the World Elder Abuse Awareness Event. It's once again at the South Fulton Annex, which is 5600 Stonewall Tell. World Elder Abuse Awareness Day was launched by the International Network. And pretty much, I'm not sure if many of you know, but there is whole networks of people looking to scam our seniors. Those who may not be as aware of how technology works. And so what we are doing is that we are giving our seniors and educating them and giving them the tools to be able to recognize when someone is trying to scam them, recognize what that looks like and how they can avoid being susceptible to that. So once again, that's on Friday, June 24th at the South Fulton Annex. So please check that out if you have a moment. And last, but certainly not least, we have the summer youth training programs. And so Fulton County just launched a plan which totals $500,000 that's allocated to summer youth job training programs. So if you have a nonprofit, if you have a small business that you feel that there are students that could potentially learn from your business, you can actually apply to be one of these vendors. And what will happen is that as a vendor, the county will pretty much fund you to take these children in. They'll get the internship experience, but it won't come out to your pocket. You will kind of be a surrogate and the county will pay for them to come and work for you, but they'll get the training that they need to advance their skill set. The application is currently online at fultoncountyga.gov. And it has the list of the instructions, what the requirements and qualifications are. If you are trying to be one of those vendors or those nonprofits that will be employing some of our youth. So please check that out. I do think that's one of the times that Fulton County has gotten it right in terms when it comes to our youth. I think it's a great program. It's a great way for small mom and pops in our locality to be able to impact our youth in a way that it will be beneficial for them, not just now by putting some money in their pocket, but also in the future because they're gaining the skills that they need in specific industries. So the deadline to complete that application is Monday, May 23rd at by 3 p.m. And I will say this, there are a lot of times please try to hit the deadline. A lot of times people will miss the deadline and then try to email, say, hey, can you help us out? We try to do what we can, but for as much as possible, if you can hit the deadlines for this, please do so, so that we can just make sure that everyone is treated fairly and no one feels like someone's kind of going around and bending the rules. Okay, so I know I just said a lot of events and I said a lot of things. Does anyone have any questions regarding any of the events that are coming up?
Feel free to type your question in the chat, or if you want to, come off mute and ask your questions, feel free to do that also.
I see a few. Do you want to call them out?
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Micah Richards. Do you mind mentioning or saying the name of that program for small businesses to employ or have students intern?
Sure. It's the Summer Youth Jobs Training Program. And once again, it starts if you would like to be one of the individuals or the small businesses that kind of pull kids in, the application is due by May 23rd. So we have a small one. We got about 5-6 days to get the application in. But I've seen the application and it's not very extensive at all. So if you're thinking about doing it, please go ahead. You do have to be a nonprofit 501c3 or a current vendor with the county, which is easy to do.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
No problem at all. I saw another hand.
Mr. Ron?
Yeah, Mr. Kelly.
Sure.
When you get a chance, can you type that information into the chat, including the website, so that people can go back and view it when you're not talking? No hurry on.
Absolutely. I absolutely will do that. And if you guys, once again, if you guys put if you're not currently getting our emails, if you put your email in the chat like a lot of people have done, I'll be sending all this out over our listserv as well, so that everyone can make sure that they have that information.
And Mr. Kelly, is there a way for us to be able to get in touch with maybe you directly for all of this information, or with the commissioner directly for all this information? Should they reach out to you for anything? How do they get in contact?
Absolutely. Thank you for that. I should have probably just said that. So if you have any questions about anything that I've spoken about, you can email me at robert.kelly, that's Kelly, at fultoncountyga.gov. And the number for the office is 404-612-8222. And as soon as I get done, I'll put that in the chat as well. And we love to hear from you guys. So hey, hi Alicia, how's it going? I got you. I see your emails. Yeah, so if you guys ever have any questions, or there's something that you don't understand, please feel free to reach out to our office. We do our best to respond to everyone within 48 hours. We have a strict, I would say, constituent policy that any email or phone call is due back to be responded to within 48 hours. We try to err on the side of 24 hours, but just because sometimes we may have a lot of events happening, we give us that extra 24-hour time. I got you. Thanks, Mr. Harper. We try to do that by at least 48 hours at the maximum.
Do we have any other questions? I mean, I know I may have one or two, but any other questions in the chat, or anybody want to come off mute and ask a few more questions?
I see the question with Sean Houston. Absolutely. He says, I am with Centerwell Senior Primary and would like to partner with South Fulton for the elder abuse event. I definitely will. I'm sorry, okay, sorry. We would definitely take all vendors and any additional partners. So I will write that down as well, and I'll make sure that someone reaches out to you to get you that information, Sean. Thank you so much.
And while we're waiting, I know one question that I get a lot of times from people. I know you're chief of staff could you maybe give a 1 minute about what does the chief of staff do exactly? I know everyone's sending you emails. How can us reaching out to you as chief of staff, what does that look like? How can you really help out in that way?
So my primary duty as chief of staff is to maintain the office of the commissioner. My goal and my job is to make sure that the everyday operations of the office is working. And so whatever that takes on, and luckily for me, I have a commissioner that allows me to take on little pet projects as well, as long as it's going towards the betterment, of course, of Fulton County. And so, you know, in addition to many times taking on and making sure the office is flowing well, I also, if there's a community issue that may be going on, I'm able to go and investigate and kind of do the background work to make sure that the constituents' needs and concerns are being taken care of. And so that's something that I've enjoyed doing. This is my third commission I work for. I started off working under Commissioner Emma Darnell. Some of you may remember her. And she had a lot more tighter rein on her senior staff members. But in terms of in terms of me actually being able to go into the community and hear issues and be able to actually start working on it and just say, hey, this is my recommendation, I'm very grateful for Commissioner Khadijah and how much latitude she gives me to be able to work on the issues of the community. And help bring changes and improvements to everything in South Fulton County.
Thank you for that.
I'm just looking to make sure I didn't miss any questions. I think I got them all. Okay. Okay, someone direct messaged me. I see. I will. Oh, they were asking me about being on the list. I will put you back on the list. I don't think you've been taken off any list, but I will make sure that if you're not on the list, I'll re-add you as well. Okay, let me check. Okay, I think I got them all. Dream, did you have any other questions?
No, that's it. I was gonna say that I know that there are quite a few topics on the agenda this evening, such as the environment, also redistricting, elections, Wolf Creek, amphitheater update. Is there anything else that you know of as chief of staff that Commissioner Khadijah is prepared to kind of talk about this evening? And I'm kind of throwing this out there also to the audience. If you got the flyer, were there any other, I would say, topics that we want to maybe discuss tonight? Did y'all want to maybe throw those into the chat if possible?
I don't want to mess up your name, Delabia. Hopefully I said that right. Is it a question for me, or is it a question that you want to Commissioner answer?
Mr. Cameron, feel free to come off mute or to type your question in the chat.
No, the first name is Delabia, and I thank you for allowing me to come on the call. And I'll wait until the floor is open for me to ask my question. Thank you.
I mean, the floor is open now if you want to, but I also believe that Commissioner Khadijah may have entered into the meeting. But again, the floor is open now if you wanted to go ahead and ask your question.
Sure, I would love to. So I want to first say thank you to South Fulton Coalition for allowing myself and two other people to be on this call. I have a nonprofit and I had it since 2016, and we help families that lost loved ones to gun violence. It started as a result of what happened to my daughter being murdered in Union City at the age of 15. My question is clearly, as a small mom and pops nonprofit, it's hard for us to receive funding. We have to jump through more hoops than if we were trying to go through SBA. So I want to find out, how can she help the small nonprofits that are paying out of their pocket to help these families?
And I can actually answer that one, because that's one of the things that in one of my projects that I've been working on in this current year. So when we looked at the numbers of nonprofits getting funded by the county, to your point, District 6, what is now District South Fulton County, we had the lowest amount of individuals actually receiving funding from the county. And what it came down to was the scoring. A lot of the scores in South Fulton County was not meeting the threshold of where they could receive funding. And so what our office has done is that we've created a South Fulton task force, and I will be happy if you put your email into the chat, where we do seminars to help on our nonprofits on our side of town to be able to qualify and get those applications to a place where they will qualify. We actually bring in grant writers, and a lot of times with what we've been seeing with the nonprofits on our side of town is where we in the construction or in the development of the nonprofits, a lot of times I've seen a lot of organizations that we may not have the board that is necessary, or sometimes our financial structure isn't where it needs to be to get the funding. And so we've actually been hosting many seminars where we have all the nonprofits that want to get funded come, and we actually have a grant writer specifically to sit down and speak with every nonprofit to look over your information, to make sure that the next time around, your application would be in the best position it can be to get that type of funding. So that is something that we are currently doing. And like I said, if you would shoot me an email, I'll make sure that you're going to jump on that list. Of also, we started working with the county to make sure that there's parity. And so this past cycle, when we realized that South Fulton County didn't get as much funding as some of the other parts of the county, the applications will open back up specifically for South Fulton County. And it's just so that those nonprofits that are located in South Fulton County could be the ones to apply almost on their own, to try to make sure that there's parity in the nonprofits of South Fulton County. So those are just two things that we're doing. So I would love to work with you to help you get funding moving forward.
And thank you very much for the question as well. I do believe that the commissioner has arrived. I want her to take a second, of course, to introduce herself, say hello to everybody. So thank you so much for joining us, Miss Commissioner Khadijah. I'll let her have the floor.
All right. First of all, I am not Pamela Lyons Johnson. I am Commissioner Khadijah Abdulrahman of the Mighty Six. I'm at an actual youth commission event, and they were so accommodating. They allowed me to come into a room while the event is going on, because this is so very important to me. And so if I have any interruptions, I shouldn't, but just know I'm going to try to control this part of the hall that I'm in. But at any rate, I am so ecstatic and excited to be here, because if I could go back to my upbringing, my people perish for a lack of knowledge. And so I live by that, in that I want you all to know the truth from me. If you have any questions or concerns, please ask me. But I'm here. I am your commissioner fighting the good fight. Sometimes I have to stand alone, but truth never stands alone in my purview. So what I'm going to do today is let you know about not only the redistricting process, why it had to take place, but also I'm going to let you know about some other things of concerns, and I will be here for Q&A. And so, Mr. Sharp, I'll turn it back over to you if you want me to. and I can get into my presentation. You just tell me what you want me to do.
I'll let you take it away. I think there are quite a few things on the agenda. I know you mentioned redistricting, the election. So, I mean, where do you want to start? I'll let you take it.
Let's start with the redistricting. And Mr. Sharp, you are sharp. So I know you're going to keep me on task and make sure I go full force and answer the questions. But of course, if there's anything that I may overlook, please bring it back to my attention. Let's deal with the election, okay? The redistricting had to take place. Redistricting takes place every 10 years. And let me give you some of the history as to why I took the position that I did this year of pushing the redistricting. But let me give you what the scenario was of what I had to go through. There was a concerted effort led by Chairman Pitts for me not to be part of the redistricting process. At the end of the day, I had a meeting with External Affairs. One meeting now, mind you, the Mighty Six took on the most growth, okay? So it was imperative that I be part of the redistricting process because it would have happened with or without me because I had the most growth. Now, when I first sat down and looked at the maps had me written out of my district, okay? Now, could have been by mistake, could have been on purpose. I don't know, but I'm gonna put that out there. So there was a meeting with me, my Chief of Staff, Robert Kelly, and my Special Assistant, Rick Blaylock, as well as with the External Affairs, showing me maps that had me written out of my district. And so once we talked about that, they said, oops, that was a mistake. We apologize. And so when I come prepared. And so my Chief of Staff, Kelly, Robert Kelly, and my Special Assistant, Rick Blaylock, gave scenarios of what the district would look like if we did it this way, if we did it that way. We were prepared. Okay, we were told that it would be another meeting. This was way before the process started at the state. We had enough time to go back in and make any changes, questions, concerns, or what have you. One meeting was told that we'll have another one. Never had another meeting, went totally silent on me. And so as we get closer, now this was last year, I wanna say, and Mr. Kelly, I hope he'll keep me honest, but I believe it was in November, early November, late October, that initial meeting. So we had enough time to be able to make the changes or desired or needed changes. Never had another meeting. External Affairs never reached out to me again. Now, mind you, while I'm waiting on the meetings, the Commissioner Arrington and Commissioner Hall are meeting with the Atlanta delegation at the state, and David Dreyer, State Rep David Dreyer, and I do have receipts about this, saying Commissioner Khadijah is fine with the maps. Now, how I can be fine with a map that I've never seen, no one has invited me to come in and see anything, and I've been kept out of the loop. And so to kind of fast forward it up, the maps, Fulton County never ever submitted a map that was done correctly. And what I mean done correctly, all maps have to go through what they call a review at the state. You have a variance of 1% or less. It's called a technical review. You must allow the state to see the map before, by law, you can vote on it at Fulton County. Well, once I educated myself and went to the state, because clearly was nobody at the county level working with Commissioner Khadijah, I took it upon myself to go to the state, ask the questions, go to the map compliance office, and I found out everything that I needed to find out, which we were in violation of trying to do a map and voting on a map that never had technical review, to this day, Fulton County never sent a map to the state to be passed. First issue. Second issue was this.
So, Commissioner, if I could, 1 second,
Okay.
I'll say that in general, I'm asking a question really for the audience. Generally speaking, in these redistricting processes, all commissioners are supposed to be involved in the process, right?
Exactly.
Everyone. And could you maybe tell, if you can, a sidebar, what's the importance? I know South Fulton for so long has been left out of many conversations. What is the importance in this case of ensuring that the voices of South Fulton were really heard?
Thank you, Mr. Sharp. I'm glad, great question, which leads me into my next part. When I was running for office, many of you I talked to, okay? And I am a product of Emma Darnell, John Lewis, James Orange, Jose Williams. And so I asked people, what could I do that the late Commissioner Emma Darnell didn't do, maybe because of her age, maybe because of at the time that the city was incorporated, a lot was going on. What areas do you think I can improve on that maybe she needed a little help with? Well, overwhelmingly, you all told me South Fulton feels left out. We feel like when decisions are being made, we're not at the table. We feel like even with Commissioner Darnell, sometimes she didn't get past, 285 in Cascade. And that's not to say anything ill of her. That's just stating some of the things that you all told me you want me to work on. Now, another thing you all expressed to me was that when the state legislator took legislation, decided to make Emma and Bill run against each other and made it one seat, that left a void for the South Fulton region. You've got 7 commissioners, 2 that live in North Fulton, 5 that live in city of Atlanta, and 0 that live in South Fulton County. Now, you've heard all kind of different fiction and fairy tales, but let me tell you what Commissioner Khadijah feels about that. I wanted to put back together what the Georgia legislation did 10 years ago. They diluted the voice of South Fulton. And so when I saw that I had an opportunity, because the maps had to take, in fact, the 2020 census, one man, one vote. If you did not present a map with the 2020 census numbers, that means every election, including the governor's election, can be contested and possibly thrown out. So I took this very seriously. But I said, since I have to do the redistricting process, I have to look at what's fair. Now, it's going to move me more into Atlanta, but let me share this with you, my dear, dear friends. I would rather move into Atlanta and give you all someone that lives among you. I feel I live in Southwest Atlanta, and I would hope that I have represented South Fulton to the fullest, to the best of my ability. However, there is a glaring discrepancy and disparity when it comes to South Fulton voices being at the table. And so it is my belief that if it means that I have to move further in Atlanta in order, because I live in Southwest Atlanta, in order for South Fulton to have a voice, it wasn't Republicans. It wasn't giving Republicans any more power, because Fulton County is 93, 94, 95% Democrat. But what it did do, it gave you all an opportunity to vote for someone that lives among you all. And this was a promise that I had made to the constituents that I would make sure not just Southwest Atlanta, not just Atlanta would have a voice at the table, but the South Fulton region. And I stand by that decision.
Thank you very much for that in-depth explanation and background and how we even got to this point. I know one question that I have right now before we even get into more of the questions is I know that South Fulton as a city was formed about 4 or 5 years ago, still very, very new. Tell us a little bit more if you can, how will you or how can you still be working with the current city council to move legislation or progressive things forward in the city?
What I would like to do, I would like for all of the South Fulton region, but more importantly, the city of South Fulton to get on one accord. What I mean by that is this. All new cities have growing pains. All cities have glitches they have to work out. Other municipalities had fights. They had dragged down, fights, almost literal. It never made the news. They worked out what they needed to work out. I think it's unfair to continually put, especially City of South Fulton, under a microscope or a glaring camera when you didn't do it to other cities. Now, is City of South Fulton perfect? No. But neither is Johns Creek, and neither are any of the other ones. And so I take issue with anyone that wants to look at City of South Fulton like they are subpar, like they, like they're the bottom of the barrel. I take issue with that, and I'm very passionate that why does the City of South Fulton have to beg for anything when the City of South Fulton has tax money that is green like the other side of town? And so my feelings are, we are unfairly judged because other cities had to work out their kinks. Other cities were in their, what I call, emphasis stage, and people had to work on different things, come together, work through policy and personality differences, just as City of South Fulton, but City of South Fulton makes the news and makes the papers, and other cities don't. And so first and foremost, I take issue with that. Secondly, I find myself with this particular Fulton County Commission, especially the leadership, Republican Chairman Rob Pitts. He seems to think, and those that are down there with him, that the City of South Fulton has to beg. I don't see Johns Creek begging. I don't see Milton begging. I don't see others. And I take issue when I say, why does City of South Fulton have to beg for sidewalks? Why does City of South Fulton have to beg for detention ponds? Why does City of South Fulton have to beg for Wolf Creek? Why does City of South Fulton have to beg for money that Fulton County has, that when City of South Fulton became incorporated, we should have given it to you all? But we are making you beg for that money. And hey, if it means that I'm the loudest voice and it means that people want to suppress me, they can suppress me when I'm dead, because I'm not going to go along to get along. And I'm not going to be quiet because somebody wants one side of Fulton County to get 1.5 million and plus in 5-second votes, and City of South Fulton has to beg. I've never seen North Fulton, and don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to pit one side of the county to the other. I'm speaking facts. I've been on the county commission for 1.5 years. I have never seen North Fulton beg for anything. If they ask for it, if it's on the agenda, they get it. And I said this to Commissioner Houseman. She told me, she said, when I told her I'm elected official and City of South Fulton is part of my district? She said, well, I'm elected too, Commissioner Khadijah. I said, yeah, but I've never seen District 1, District 2, or District 3 beg for anything. But I've seen City of South Fulton have to beg because I'm the one been doing the begging, okay? And so I take issue with that our tax dollars across this county is green. Why do we have to beg? Thirdly, why do we have to act as though we are not intelligent? There is a wealth of education and knowledge on my side of town. When you have individuals like Commissioner Ellis and others say, oh, well, we can't let this person be on the board because, you know, they don't have the credentials, or they don't have what they need for us to pass, that is a blatant lie. I've done a committee by committee study, and a lot of the people that sit on boards now fail or fall very short of the amount of intellect, the amount of education, the amount of community service, the amount of involvement. But when it comes to Commissioner Khadijah's district appointments, by the way, which are my district, then people want to tell me, no, you can't have that person. We're not going to vote for that person. Why? Because I'm never asked not to vote for somebody in their district. And I would think, being the person that was duly elected by over 6,000 votes, I would know who should need a seat at the table at one of the seats. Case in point, Fulton County Development Authority. South Fulton needs a representative at the table. I put forth Rodney Littles. He has the resume, okay? He has the resume, but they blocked it. Why did they block it? Because their hatred for Khadijah is much stronger than their love for the constituents. Here go some more receipts for you. Commissioner Arrington in a forum said, there are no environmental issues in South Fulton. Now, I don't know about you all, but if I had a wig on, I would have had to reach for it, because I was taken aback. Councilman Jason Sebastian had a dump in his backyard that burnt, what, almost 2 years? Now, correct me, Mr. Sharp, if I'm wrong, or Mr. Kelly, but is that not an environmental issue? When you had a dump burning for almost 2 years, when you have warehouses encroaching and affecting the public quality of life, is that not environmental issues? When you have food deserts, is that not environmental issues? When you have children's daycare centers that are sitting next to substations, is that not environmental issues? So I'm not sure what county Commissioner Arrington represents, but to say there's no environmental issues in South Fulton is a blatant lie, and I'm here to call it out. It's even other stuff. I mean, I need a whole extra hour just to talk about the environmental issues on the South Fulton town. But I think you all get the. I think you all are getting the point.
And I will say, one, the chat is going off. Everyone is certainly agreeing. Preach, go off. I mean, everything that you said was very truthful. I would say one thing that really stuck out to me, admittingly, even the city of South Fulton myself is very new. So one thing that you said that really stuck out was it is still a new city. There's still a lot of things to work out. And I'm glad that you really talked about that truth behind many of these other 100-year-old cities that have had their fights in the background that no one knew about. And those are really important points to acknowledge. And I think that we're all really excited to hear that you are hopefully going to help to just get everybody on the same page and moving forward. And I think it starts with at least acknowledging that
At least
point.
acknowledging.
Absolutely. So I really appreciate that a lot. I know one thing you mentioned, you touched on a few things, were the environment. I didn't know if you wanted to take, that next topic or go there. I know there's the environment, retention ponds, but you can tell me where you want to keep on going.
Well, let me just let me say this, okay? And I would hope that all of you on here understand what not only you have in a leader, but sometimes truth stands alone. Sometimes when you tell the truth, you're going to get beat up, you're going to get ostracized, you're going to be made to be anything other than a truth teller. And that's fine. I was built for this, so it don't bother me, because I answer to a higher authority. So long as that higher authority I answer to knows I'm telling the truth, can't nobody do nothing to Commissioner Khadijah. You can make all the threats, you can do what all you want to, but at the end of the day, I'm going to stand on the truth. And the truth is, with the detention ponds, they are an environmental issue. The detention ponds should have already been done. That is my opinion. I stand by that. I tried to get the detention ponds done, and you all saw what happened, but that's okay, because at least you all know. I can't speak for anybody else, but you all know that Commissioner Khadijah stood up and spoke truth to power. There is no sense in those detention ponds not being addressed. Now, whatever Fulton County is going to do with them, that's on Fulton County. But at least tell the citizens of the city of South Fulton what you're going to do. Don't sit up and keep lingering in it and say one thing, do another, put it in off the agenda, put it on the agenda, put it in executive. I'm not going for that foolishness, okay? Is there certain things that I can't tell you? No. I mean, yes, there are certain things that I can't tell you because it is an executive session, but I can tell you, and the law states on this, is that it was an agenda item. It's an environmental issue. It was needed. It was part of an IGA, and it should be done. Now, whatever Fulton County does with it, you've had a commissioner that spoke truth to power with it, and I would hope that you all remember on May 24th, the amnesia that people have gotten about an issue that's been out here well over 4 years and well documented.
And if you can, for maybe a minute or even longer, tell us where we are. I saw somebody in the chat mention they acknowledge that issue of the detention ponds. Is there a way forward right now? Like, where are we with them? Can you speak on that?
Let me say this. And I'm a great storyteller in that I'm going to tell you a story, and you all decide as to how this relates to the detention pond. My ex-husband, he's deceased. May God bless his soul. But when me and my ex-husband broke up, he didn't want to pay child support. He didn't want to pay alimony. Guess what? I had to take him to court. Was it the right thing to give me child support? Was it the right thing to give me alimony? Well, a judge decided, yes, it was. Could my ex-husband have done that without us going to court? Yes, he could have done. Why he didn't do it, only he knows. But I had to get a judge to make my ex-husband do what was right. And I'm gonna leave it at that.
Thank you very much. Understood and heard. I'm gonna take it to Mr. Richard Snelling for a second. I think he has a question.
Thank you for acknowledging me. There's a question from the chat that would like to hear your plans to address stormwater runoff and management of property erosion due to limited planning of storm pipes?
My plan is that you all have tax dollars and you all still pay taxes to the county. Please be mindful of the votes that are taking place at every Board of Commissioners meeting. Hold me accountable, but not just me. Hold that entire Fulton County Commission, okay, accountable to what we should be doing. There are things that we should be doing, or more importantly, there are things that are being done on the other side of the county that we have to beg for. The county has a responsibility to the municipalities. Do the municipalities have responsibilities? Yes, they do. But those of you on here that are citizens of the city of South Fulton, Union City, Fairburn, Palmetto, or whatever, how many on here do not pay county taxes? I'll wait. Okay, so my point to you is this. When you pay county taxes and you have issues and they're not addressed, that is a dereliction of a duty to the taxpayer, and nobody should be comfortable with that. Nobody should be comfortable with paying taxes, because you and I both know the minute we do not pay our taxes, that property becomes subject to be owned by somebody else. So you must pay your taxes. So if you are paying your taxes and there are issues that the county is responsible for, sidewalks as well as other things, those are issues that the county was responsible for. When the county derelicts its duty, that's a dereliction to the taxpayer. That is not fair. It's what I call, sometimes when you have leadership that decides to whatever, look the other way, fall asleep at the wheel, pretend like you're not important. They never pretend like your tax dollars not important when it's time for you to pay them. Don't pay the tax. Don't pay your taxes and see what happens. And so my plan is this. We need a comprehensive forensic audit of everything that all of the South Fulton region, especially the city of South Fulton, is due. Just because a mayor or a city council didn't ask for something doesn't mean it's not due to you. And so I'm one that says we need an audit so those things that should be done are done. And those things that people are telling, oh, we'll wait till after the election. Oh, I didn't know that, this, that, and the other. Case in point, Wolf Creek. Wolf Creek has been a long-standing issue. Wolf Creek was supposed to go to the city of South Fulton. That is no new issue. I have receipts where a newsletter went out and said, we're one step away from Wolf Creek being turned over to the city of South Fulton. The date on that is January of, I believe, 2019. Okay? One step away.
Wolf Creek, if you can, taking a step back just a little bit, tell us a little bit what you can about Wolf Creek. For those, I'm sure most of us here know a little bit or a lot about Wolf Creek. Can you take us back just a little bit?
Wolf Creek Wolf Creek is a facility that was owned by the county that was due to the city of South Fulton. Why? I'm not exactly sure. It was not given to the city of South Fulton. I don't know. I wasn't on the county commission then, but I can tell you what I do know. I do know that Commissioner Arrington has a very big interest in Wolf Creek. I understand that Commissioner Arrington was very involved, allegedly, with the day-to-day operations of Wolf Creek. And that's not to cast any aspersions on him or anything. These are facts, okay? However, I also know that Wolf Creek has been standing still with no maintenance for some years now. And so to sit up and say, we're close is not all that true, because Wolf Creek can be given, and here I'm skirting the line because at the end of the day, they want to say, you know, well, I shouldn't be talking about it, but guess what? If you're trying to hurt or disengage the people or give them any incorrect information, I have a duty as your elected official to give you the correct information. Wolf Creek was a venue, a very popular venue. It was a venue that Commissioner Arrington was over and oversaw the day-to-day operations. Now, no other commissioner has done that, allegedly. But he was well involved in that. When the transfer took place and there was not a agreement in place and Wolf Creek started falling into disrepair, then Wolf Creek was being held up, okay? It's no other way to look at it. So I would think it would be unfair. Keep in mind the timeline. Wolf Creek, you're going to get Wolf Creek eventually. I made Wolf Creek an issue. Oh, well, we're just going to have a Juneteenth event and the 5-year anniversary. I made Wolf Creek an interest. I made Wolf Creek an item again. I talked about it. So we went from, we got to work out some things. We got some EPA concerns. Remember the narrative, not narratives that I put out there, but narratives. So we went from it being an EPA issue to, okay, we're going to let you use it for the 5-year anniversary and rental. And I brought this up at the Board of Commissioners meeting. Now, we're going to go on and give you a 1-year lease. We're going to give you a 1-year lease for Wolf Creek. Now, I don't know about you all, but that's just like telling me, okay, Khadijah, I know your garage is part of your house, but I'm gonna lease your garage to you for a year to see if you know how to park your car in it. Then if you know how to park your car in your garage, then I'm gonna let you have it. I stand on what I said, and I've been saying it. City of South Fulton deserves Wolf Creek because Wolf Creek is in your community. Wolf Creek can easily be an income generating revenue stream for you all. But more importantly, do we really have a right to not only deny you all Wolf Creek, but someone should do a up and bottom inspection of Wolf Creek before we tell you all that we've got to lease it? So you're gonna lease a property to me for a year that you have not maintained, you have not taken care of, but you want to hand it over to me as a lease, as is. Come on now, Fulton County, that's not right. So yes, that's the history of Wolf Creek, is that it was being ran, and I'm gonna say allegedly because I wasn't on the board. I can only go by what I've read and what people have said to me. But Commissioner Arrington was part of the day-to-day operations. No other commissioner on the Fulton County Commissioner was involved with the day-to-day operations of Wolf Creek. Allegedly, Commissioner Arrington was. When Wolf Creek was time to be put over to the city of South Fulton, it was told it was close to being done. Now we're what, 3 years later? That's 3 years later, and you all still don't have Wolf Creek, and the narrative has changed almost daily, weekly, and monthly since I have been raising the issue about Wolf Creek.
So first, thank you for the facts. Thank you for the history of Wolf Creek. I think you definitely answered quite a few questions that I had. I know you definitely answered a few questions that were maybe in the chat and that people had. I know any further questions about Wolf Creek, your chief of staff, Robert Kelly, he definitely gave your email address. Hopefully he'll put that in the chat again, as well as his email address. So all those can reach out to you directly about Wolf Creek and what's going on there. I know that Rashard Snellings, I think maybe he has another question for us.
Yeah, so are there any facilities in North Fulton that are being leased to North Fulton?
You know, I am not sure that there is. To my knowledge, there isn't. Of the ones that I knew that were leased, they were leased for a nominal amount. What, Robert, maybe $1, something like that, because the understanding was when they were giving the facility, and this facility escapes me the name of it, but I do know that it's in Johns Creek, if I'm not mistaken. And Robert, you can correct me, but the facility was not in good condition. And so at that time, the county decided, because it was a county-owned building, to let the city have it for $1 a month for maybe, what, a year or two, something like that. It was very nominal. I may be wrong about the amount, but it was a very small amount. And the reason that they did that is because work had to be done on the property. And so they said, okay, we won't necessarily charge you for the property. We'll lease it to you for you to use, for you to repair, for you to get it up and running, and then we'll give it over to you. Now, I don't know about you all, but I have not heard of that option for Wolf Creek. Now, I take issue with that option for Wolf Creek, and I'm gonna tell you why, and I'm on the record saying this, and I'm gonna say it tonight. South Fulton has been asking for Wolf Creek forever. It is not South Fulton, the city of South Fulton's fault that it fell into disrepair. So I think it would be unbelievable and just horrible for us to hand over something, require city of South Fulton to pay for it, and also be responsible for the disrepair because it has been sitting there without being used. I just think that's unfair. Now, somebody else may have a different view on it, but being who I am, you don't hold up something. People have been begging for it. You have not maintained it. And because a commissioner won't let it go, you decide, well, we'll figure out something. We'll lease it to them. We'll do something for a year. And it requires a as-is lease, because that's what's been put on the table, as-is lease for 12 months. I think that's unfair, unfortunate, and it speaks to the disrespect of Black folks, brown folks in the South Fulton region. You would never, ever give that deal.
But State Farm has rates that fit any budget.
To people in North Fulton. So why would you even offer that in South Fulton?
As Mr. Pastor Henry said in the chat, amen, that's the gospel, and thanks for sharing the historical truth about the last 17 years of the history. I think it's really important that people know where they are, what's the history of Wolf Creek, and where we're going. One thing I want to say, I know that it's about 8:10 right now. If everyone can, again, take 30 seconds, 1 minute, to let people know, let your neighbors know this is happening right now. Text them, put it on your social media, send them an email, let them know right now the commissioner is here answering questions about the county. Come in, listen, learn, find out information. Again, take a few seconds to do that if you can. While y'all do that, we will probably look for more questions in the chat. I know one that came up, it talked a little bit about infrastructure. It was more specific. It was really getting into transportation, bike lanes, congestion, traffic. Can you talk a little bit about kind of the plans for infrastructure? How are we going to address these traffic jams and BRT and all these other things that you know I love because I'm an urbanist, but please tell us a little bit more about plans for infrastructure.
Well, let me tell you, and I'm not sure if you all know this. Biden sent $444 million to the state of Georgia for infrastructure, okay? And all of what you just mentioned would fall up under that. Now, city of South Fulton needs, because it has grown so much that it has infrastructure needs, that there could have been a partnership with city of South Fulton and the county for infrastructure needs when that money came to the state. Now, counties were encouraged to apply for the money. Counties all over the state of Georgia, 159 counties, were encouraged to apply for the funding. Fulton County did not get any of that money. Why didn't Fulton County get any of that money? Because we didn't apply for any of it. Now, that's a travesty in itself, and I know we don't have enough time to talk about it, but let me tell you why that's a travesty. Not only do we have issues with our infrastructure in South Fulton, and I'm specifically talking about city of South Fulton, that this much needed money would have helped, but we have quality businesses that do want to come to the city of South Fulton. Some of them cannot come because the infrastructure is not there to sustain them. And until we help city of South Fulton build up its infrastructure, which to me, we should be doing, partnering with city of South Fulton, we're going to continue to see the problems that we have. Now, I saw in the chat where someone said, whose responsibility was it to apply for the money? It was the leadership of Fulton County's responsibility to apply for the money. When you hear at the Board of Commissioners meeting, the county commission is authorizing the county manager and Chairman Pitts. Ultimately, it would have been with him because he is the one that is put in the position to execute all contracts and execute anything that would benefit the infrastructure for cities of which he is chairman over. And so when you see cities getting a whole bunch of infrastructure money from the county, and they're doing collaborative efforts, I would suggest you all to look at my latest board report, the one before that, and look at the Board of Commissioners meeting tomorrow. And when you see the county partnering to deal with infrastructure issues and issues to make the quality of life from a water, from an infrastructure, from a street, from a bridge, from whatever for the sake of that city, these are the same things that are not being done with the city of South Fulton.
And Commissioner, can you, or maybe your chief of staff, can you tell us how do we voice our concerns at Fulton County? Many of us know how to go to the city council meeting. Is there a way that constituents can voice their concerns to the Fulton County Commission about all of this?
Yes, and we know everybody works, so that's understandable. You can't always take off work. However, if you can take off, or if you have an off day or whatever, it's always good to show up. Look at that agenda. That agenda is made public. I take issue with it being made public so late, but that's a whole nother story and dissertation for another day. But look at the agenda, okay? I have a great staff. I have a great leader in Robert Kelly, my chief of staff. We look at the agenda. We go in the agenda line by line and look at everything. And then I do the board report. And so first and foremost, look at the agenda. Hold me accountable, but more important, hold all the elected officials accountable, including Republican Chair Rob Pitts. Hold him accountable. You know, it's amazing to me that somebody can be in place this long and then feel like they're not accountable to the South Fulton region, to the city of South Fulton, until election time. Election time, I'm accountable to you all. What you all need. No, what did we need 4 years ago? What did we need 2 years ago? But I digress. FGTV Live, Zoom, you can always Zoom in a comment. You can always email a comment and have it, ask for it to be read into the record. Mr. Kelly, is there anything else that I'm forgetting to mention as far as the accountability that the citizens can use to make sure that they stay abreast of what's going on at the county level?
Before you jumped on, I had many of them put their emails in the chat. And so I will be adding everyone that put their email in the chat to our newsletter just to make sure that they're getting that. So if you haven't done that yet, please put it there, put it in, and we will be able to contact you, one, to let you know what's happening, and when you can come down. Before every board meeting, we try to send out the information of how to, or what's on the upcoming agenda, and the links for how, if you can't come down in person, how you can log onto the Zoom and insert your public comment, whether via Zoom or by email, and it'll be read at the end of the meeting. I will add that to the chat as well. And so thank you, Ms. Shamika. Thank you, Councilwoman Gilliard. And I'll make sure I have those emails locked in as well.
And also, you know, you don't just talk to me. You're taxpaying citizens of Fulton County. You hold all of the commissioners accountable. Now, what Robert Kelly, my chief of staff, Robert Kelly, won't tell you, but I'll tell you. I get calls from all over this county. I get calls from the state of Georgia. I get calls from Savannah, Athens. I get calls, and listen, I am the caring commissioner. I'm the compassionate commissioner, but baby, am I the fighting commissioner. And people know that I'm going to fight for those that feel like they don't have a seat at the table and no one's listening. And so what I say to you is this: someone was saying that they call and they email and nobody responds to them. Well, I say to you, you ought to make sure that you either Zoom in, you email in, or if you can come to that public comment, and that commissioner who you've been trying to reach out to and they will not respond, you come down there in their face and you say, so-and-so, I've called you, and I believe in being precise. I've called you 18 times since, May 1st, and I've emailed you 12 times and you have yet to respond. Sometimes we got to call folks out. You know, I want you all to hold me accountable, not because I'm a Black woman. That's too easy. I want you to hold me accountable because you are my boss. It is your tax dollars that runs my staff, that keeps me in the know and keeps my office running. And so if I am not responsive to you, I'm not answering my boss. And so if they're not answering you, they're not answering their bosses, and they need to be held accountable for it. So please get involved. Please never ever think that your voice is so small that nobody's listening, because people are listening. I promise you, they're listening. If they weren't listening, the attacks on my chief of staff, Robert Kelly, would not be rampant. If they weren't listening, I would not be people trying to silence me, telling me you can't say this, you can't say that. We're gonna send you a cease and desist and all this other stuff. But I am accountable to the 178,000 residents of my district. And I'm more accountable to the rest of Fulton County in that if someone calls me, yes, I send them to their district representative. But if they call me back and say, hey, Commissioner Khadijah, he won't answer, guess what I do? I intervene and try to see if it's something that I can deal with, because we are accountable to every taxpaying citizen. We are accountable to our district first, but we're still accountable to the entire Fulton County. So please get involved. Please email, please call, please sign up for the board reports, and please be in the know how these people are voting either for your interests or, more importantly, against it.
Thank you for that. So y'all heard it here first. The commissioner herself said, email, call. If they're not answering, show up to the meeting and say your piece, say your 2 cents when you're there, if you can. And as Robert Kelly, Chief of Staff, mentioned, if you can't make it, try your best to do virtual, but make sure that your voice is heard. Super important. I know that Mr. Richard Snellings has a question. I see Miss Naima Gilliard in the queue. Also, I'll go with Richard first, please.
You can go, Miss Gilliard, first.
Miss Gilliard, how you doing this evening?
I'm doing fine. How is everyone?
Everyone's doing good.
How are you, former Councilwoman Gilliard? So glad to see you tonight.
How are you? We have not met, and I'm going to at some point that does happen. But I've been following you and I've been listening. I had to step away, and you probably went over it, so please indulge me a little bit. Okay. I want to know what happened to the detention ponds.
The detention ponds?
Yes.
Well, I did go over it, Councilmember Gilliard, because I believe in protocol and respect. You may not be a sitting councilwoman, but you were a councilwoman at some point, so I will give you that respect, Councilwoman. The detention ponds are an environmental issue. They're an issue that the city of South Fulton has raised its voices about for a long time. I can only tell you from my experience and what I know to be true. It's being ignored. Whatever the county decides to do, they need to do it. Stop looking the other way. Stop pretending, I put it on the agenda, take it off, put it on the agenda, take it off, and all these things, because I know as a sitting commissioner that they are an environmental issue. I also know that they rise to the level of being an emergency environmental issue. Now, why they're not being addressed, I will leave you to your own imagination, but it's not because I have not brought it forward. It's not because I have not fought for it. Because at the end of the day, one only needs to look at the board report and see other issues that are being addressed in other parts of the county that they don't have to beg for. But I've actually physically begged for this issue with the detention ponds, there's different, I would say, conversations or information that people are putting out. They're saying, oh, it's the municipalities' responsibility. However, if you're talking about a grandfathering, and now I'm talking about stuff that is true, that everybody can get the information about. These issues with the detention ponds did not just prop up all of a sudden overnight. They have been an issue. The issue for my colleagues, and especially Republican Chairman Rob Pitts, is that I should not be talking about it. Because if I should not be talking about it, then he thinks you all won't talk about it. But my thing is, I serve you, and more importantly, I serve a higher authority. The detention ponds, Fulton County owes the taxpaying citizens to tell them what our intentions are with the detention ponds. And I hope I answered your question.
You sure did. Thank you so very much. I really, really appreciate it. And I know that there's been a lot of dragging of the feet about that, as well as the Superfund site over there that that nobody needs to deal with until that's resolved as well. So,
are you talking about the Superfund site that Commissioner Aronson said didn't exist?
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm not trying to throw him under the bus because he said it. But I just want everybody on here to know, when you have an elected official that says there are no environmental issues in the South Fulton region, that's a travesty, and I'm going to call it out.
And Ms. Gilliard or Commissioner, can y'all tell us a little bit where that exact location is for those that don't know?
Councilwoman Gilliard, you've got more history with it, and so I'm going to yield the floor to you on it, please.
It's somewhere between and specific. The specifics of it is somewhere on Wolf Creek or somewhere near the range, and it might be crossing over the landfill that's over there. But it's on, it's on the Superfund site list.
Okay.
And so, and I keep saying that I'm going to look it up to determine exactly where it is, somewhere in the area. I just don't know specifically where it is. But you know what? I'm going to look it up and send it to you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
That's what I'm going to do.
Councilwoman Gilliard, I'm sorry, Mr. Sharp.
If you can send it to the commission, if you also have time to put it in the chat, just for everybody's general knowledge, that would be awesome. But if you don't have that time right now,
I would just have to look it up. So that's why I said I would send it to her, because then she can send it out to the constituents and they can know where it is. I like to have my facts straight, and I don't want to say that it's someplace and then I find out it's else. So I need to be specific about where it is. So I'm going to go look it up on the Superfund site.
Thank you.
It's public information. But thank you.
You're welcome, Councilwoman Gilliard.
Thank you. I think we have Myrtle Bolden or Rashard. Did you want to maybe sneak in for a second?
Sure. So City of South Fulton, we had limited funds available to us for foreclosure and rental assistance during COVID. What can you expound on why we did not get those funds from Fulton County that were sent by the federal government?
Okay, let me say this, because some folks might be offended by what I'm getting ready to say, but I have to be honest about what I'm getting ready to say, because you asked the question. As part of the RIP plan that was passed by 4 votes, mortgage assistance was part of that RIP plan, okay? Mortgage assistance, small business assistance, nonprofit assistance, jobs as well. The RIP plan said, okay, we've got the American Rescue money coming in. Let's see what we can do to make sure that people, if they had a business, they were holding on to it. If they had a nonprofit that they were paying out of their pocket and they was trying to really help everybody. If they had a small business, if they had a homeowner. Because at the time that the RIP plan was coming in, there was rental assistance that was being talked about, but no home mortgage. Okay, now it went for a vote, okay? Commissioner Arrington walked out before the vote, not once, not twice, but 3 times, okay? Republican Chairman Rob Pitts didn't support it. So it could not get passed. Now, what they said, well, let the state do something, let the state do something, let the state do something. Well, we fast forward, the state has decided to do something this year in 2022. Now, I don't know about you all, but I know a whole bunch of people that were displaced last year, okay? I know a whole bunch of people who lost their businesses last year. And I don't know about you all, but I went on the site at the state level to see what the constituents were telling me when they were calling in. It is so cumbersome, and some of the red tape and some of the things that it's asking you to do is ridiculous. So you mean to tell me money came to Fulton County as part of the RIP plan? We decided to do something for the renters, but not do anything for the tax-paying citizens who are paying taxes and mortgages and own homes. And we decided to allow the state to run that. Did anybody look at what the State Department of Labor did with the unemployment and how fiasco that was? Why we would have taken something that was our responsibility and give it to the state was beyond me. So you can't say in one vein, oh, elections is elections, elections, the state is not doing it right, elections, election, election, the state is this and the state is that. But then you turn around and gave home mortgage assistance to the state for them to do it 2 years later. And while I'm on the subject, do you all realize the amount of the homeless population that has increased in the South Fulton region when we have no resources in the South Fulton, barely, for the homeless population? No money made its way to South Fulton to deal with the ever increasing homeless population because we were late. And what I mean is Fulton County missed the call to help those, the least of these. And when I say the least of these, I know people in my family who were educators. I know people in my family who were accountants. I know people of my family who lost their home, lost their job, and could not get help. So what I say to you is this: we failed, or more importantly, the leadership failed when Marvin Arrington walked out not once, not twice, but 3 times on a very important vote to protect Republican Chairman Rob Pitts because he didn't want it to pass. Now, those are facts. I don't care what way you slice it. And so you all have a very important decision when it comes up, because all a person have to do is ride the streets of South Fulton region, and they will see the homeless people in an area of town that we have little to no resources for, and we could have saved and intervened. See, one of the things that you all may not know about me, but some of you all do know, my job is not 9 to 5. It's never been 9 to 5 since I've been in office. I go out at 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, and I talk to the homeless people. I talk to the people who society, for whatever reason, want them to stay hidden. And these are not necessarily people with behavior problems. These are not necessarily people with drug problems. These are people who are living in their cars, mothers with 3 and 4 children, because they have lost their place or they have been priced out to the point that their rent has went so high, or they have lost their home. And so what I say to you is, we must hold those accountable that decided to play with the less of these when they could have given the money to help the homeowners and the small business owners and the nonprofits, and they look the other way. And I will always raise my voice to say that is wrong. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow is still wrong, and it shouldn't have happened.
Thank you for that. I want to answer or ask a quick question that's in the chat. It was about
Mr. Sharp,
yes, sir.
if you can just acknowledge the 2 hands that we have, because they've been up for a while, starting with Myrtle Bolden.
Yeah,
That'd be awesome.
Miss Myrtle Bolden and Miss Cameron, give me 1 second. Someone sent me a direct message, and I want to just ask this question just to be able to get some from the chat. So give me 1 second, please. I don't think that this question will take too long, but it may. So the question is about judge compensation. Commissioner, do you believe that judges should be compensated based on their caseload, or do you believe that there should be another way in which judges should be compensated?
Well, I tell you what my position on that is, and that's across the board. Fulton County has been very archaic in how it pays its employees, how it pays its judges and others. We have not been on par. I don't know if anybody saw the article in USA Today a couple of days ago. They said this area of the region ranks number 2 in the highest rate of inflation. Now, I don't know about you, but whether you're a custodian at Fulton County or a part-time judge, you need a raise, and you need to be on par with similar counties our size nationally. I advocated for more than the 7%. I advocated for a 10% or higher raise for our Fulton County employees. I advocated for the judges across the board to get a raise, and I also advocated for the part-time judges to get raises, because one of my colleagues said that, well, we must be careful not to pay the judges more, the part-time judges more than the full-time judges. Well, we can't pay them more because they don't get benefits. Okay, and if we're ever going to attack our caseload, that we're putting a needle in the haystack until we do something. We have to pay people their worth. This is why you're seeing judges go to other counties. They're leaving. And this is why you're seeing employees go to other counties or cities. They're leaving because we don't get it. You cannot run the county government like a company. You can't say, okay, we're going to outsource all this stuff. We're going to get the help in at the lowest price in order to help the bottom line. That's not the way government works. Government, you're supposed to do what you need to do to keep the best and brightest. And we are losing our best and brightest, whether it's the individuals that's cleaning up the building or the individuals that's standing over our civil and trial courts. And until we get the type of leadership we need down there that wants to empower people and make Fulton County better and not run it like it's a corporation and outsource everything and nickel and dime their employees to death and put them in a situation that they can't even say what they want to say for fear of losing their job. Now, y'all shouldn't have got me started on this. So I'm gonna be quiet because that is a pet peeve of mine, that Fulton County, the largest county in the state of Georgia, and we got employees that 10 years ago was making $28,000, and 10 years later, they still making $28,000. Something's wrong with that picture.
Thank you for that. That really hit home for me, especially. I know right now it's a little bit past 8:30. Could you please tell us how much more time do you have? 20 minutes, 30 minutes? What can you give us, or are we right there?
I can give you all about 20 more minutes. The building I am in, they have ended the program. The janitors are trying to clean up, and I'm telling my director of operations, Pamela Johnson, she keeps going out the door. She can y'all hold on a little bit longer? Can y'all hold on a little bit longer? But at the end of the day, this is important to me, you all. So I can give you all another 20 minutes, but guess what? You all are my boss. You all can call my office, email me, inbox me, whatever you need to do for your concerns, and I will address them because you are who I answer to. So don't because this has the end tonight, the accountability does not end. I am accountable to you all, so please reach out to my office with any concern, any situation, even if it's not a county issue. It may be a municipal issue. It may be a federal issue. I will use my voice to see if I can give you the answer that you need.
All appreciate that. Thank you so much. And I want to just take a second to say, all of your answers have really been helping out so many people. I'm reading the chat. So many people really thankful for you just giving the history that they didn't even know about certain things. So thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time. We will use up this 20 last minutes or like 16 minutes wisely. I'm going to go to Myrtle Bolden, please.
Okay, promise you I won't be long. First, I want to thank Commissioner Khadijah for this platform, for having this town hall meeting. In the middle of February, my name is Myrtle Bolden, and I am the president of the Enum Pines Homeowners Association. I wrote a letter to Commissioner Pitts regarding the detention ponds in my neighborhood and 32 other detention ponds in selected neighborhoods in the city of South Fulton. Thank goodness I CC'd Commissioner Khadijah, because as of yet, I have not heard from Commissioner Rob Pitts, but less than a week after the letters went out, I mailed it through U.S. mail. I did receive a call from Mr. Robert Kelly, who's her chief of staff. And that very next, I think it was in March, I believe that's when you first put it on the agenda.
Yes, ma'am.
To have an emergency maintenance on the detention ponds. That came off the agenda. So in April, I decided to come in person. It was put back on the agenda. I came in person to speak in order to find out after I'd spoken that it had been taken from the agenda again. I then sent an email to all of the commissioners. I have yet to hear from a single one of them. So, but Mr. Kelly, representing Commissioner Khadijah's office, has stayed in touch. He came out and actually met with my neighborhood and took pictures of the detention pond, and it is a mess. I've taken recent pictures now, Mr. Kelly. It's even worse. But I want to thank you for taking on this fight along with everything else, and we are still fighting that battle. Someone else from your office, I didn't know whether to mention it or not, has been in touch with me this week that has been doing a fantastic job, and I may have to talk with you about that offline. Okay. But I am still waiting. Yesterday, I have a backyard in my neighborhood where the water is standing like it's a little river. And it's because the detention pond is stopped up. It has not been cleaned in 5 years. When we became the city of South Fulton, still paying Fulton County taxes, they said it was the city of South Fulton's responsibility, but Fulton County still has the easement rights on that land. So we're still fighting, and thank you for fighting with us.
Ms. Bolden, thank you. I know we've been playing phone tag, so
Yes.
I have been trying to reach you, and I know you've been trying to reach me, but I wanted to make sure that you know on this forum, I appreciate you not giving up, please. And I say that to each and every one of you all wholeheartedly. You are my boss. See, my colleagues seem to not understand. Now, they say, I don't understand how it works, but I'm gonna tell you how it works. When people send you, you are their elected representative to represent their interests, not your personal gain, not to try to hold something back because a group of individuals don't feel like people of Black and brown should have a voice, but they don't deny that green dollar. So what I say to you, Ms. Bolden, in front of everyone, thank you, because you have a right to have an answer to that. You have a right to demand it, and to sit up and pretend like it don't exist, like it's not an environmental and emergency issue is a travesty, and it would not be tolerated if you and I were a different color and a different side of town. And I'm not going to bite my tongue when I say that.
And thank you.
Those,
I do want to give kudos to Mr. Rick Blaylock. I didn't know whether to say his name or not, but
oh yeah,
that
you
is
can. That's my special assistant. And
that has been working with me.
Thank you. And that's fine, because let me tell you something. It's not easy working for Commissioner Khadijah. And what I mean by that is, this is my ministry. Okay, I'm an elected official, but these are the shoes that God has ordained for me to walk in. And everybody don't necessarily buy into your vision, but I have been blessed to have a group of individuals that have. And so we start very early mornings and very late nights, and I require them to answer the constituents. So if there's ever a time that you call us or you email us and you fall through the cracks, I try to have everything in place for you not to, but we know human nature is that everybody calls on Commissioner Khadijah, and that's fine because I'm walking in my purpose. But anytime, please reach out to me when you have an issue, because I stand by what I said. You are my boss. The taxpaying citizens of Fulton County are who I am accountable to, no one else.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Delabia Cameron, you ready?
Yes, it's Delabia Cameron. And I just have one thing to say. I thank you so much for having for South Fulton Coalition. My one question is, I had two people that were on the call. One deals with murdered and missing children. The other one deals strictly with sex trafficking. And with them passing the bill, how could someone get in touch with you directly? Because one of the people had to get off the call to go and drive Lyft and Uber to raise money for about 4 young ladies that have been sex trafficked from Texas to Georgia. And it could turn into a murder. So I'm wondering, what steps do they need to take place? And that's really something maybe privately, but this has to be addressed.
Listen, the South Fulton region has become a haven for sex trafficking because of our proximity to the airport. That's a reality. How do I know that's a reality? I follow Grace. Grace is the sex trafficking partnership that the Marty Kemp, which is Governor Kemp's wife, and the mayor of Atlanta, Andre Dickens, asked me if I would become involved in it, because sex trafficking is an all-time high across Fulton County, but we are especially affected by it because of the proximity to the airport. Now, what I want you to do is to reach out to my chief of staff, Robert Kelly, so we can find out, one, the authorities, get them involved, not saying they're not already involved, but let's say they are. We want to know, are they doing everything that they can? And more importantly, we've got individuals that are in our legal system who have said that sex trafficking is a big issue. And so I want to call their office and let them know that we have a major issue with the constituent with a sex trafficking issue, and for them to get involved as well. And so I don't know the specifics of it. You don't have to, for safety concerns, go into the specifics now. But if you'll reach out to Robert Kelly, he's going to give you his information. He's going to inbox you, Ms. Cameron, his information. Please reach out to him so we can see what we can do. That is such a really big issue in our county, especially in the South County. You all will be surprised. Not only do we have sex trafficking, but we have employment trafficking. And some of you may say, well, Commissioner Khadijah, what do you mean by employment trafficking? We have people who are going and working minimum wage jobs and are coming in to an environment where they are handing over their entire check to the person that they're living with. And this is happening in our community. And we have to have people with bold voices that are going to say, we need some concern. Don't get me wrong, violence and drugs and all of that plagues our communities as well. But when you have mothers, when you have seniors that are going to work a job with minimum wage and have to come into a situation where they have to turn over their entire check, and they got to start all over the next day doing that, we need to be cracking down on that as well. And so please reach out to Robert Kelly. Those of you that may have issues or concerns, please reach out to my office, and I promise you I will respond in a timely manner to make sure your issues are addressed.
Thank you for that.
Thank
One question I know I wrote down, someone mentioned about sidewalks. I read a lot about sidewalks, study sidewalks. I know that sidewalks, being a network of sidewalks really is a key indicator to vibrant communities. Can you really talk about sidewalks in South Fulton, around the district? What can be done? What are plans to get more sidewalks throughout our communities and neighborhoods?
Okay, here again, let me do a quick apology. Okay, let me do a quick apology because I may have to offend some of you all, but I got to tell you the truth. When you have an area town, Fulton County, for the most part, in the favorable areas, are landlocked. There are many people that would like to come over here and buy property, and I'm not knocking anybody if you're a real estate agent or whatever. I'm not knocking that, but let me spit some facts to you all. When you want to be able to come in, you destabilize the schools, you make it look as though the schools are not good schools, or you hamper the resources for the schools. Then you make where the crime is very, very high. Then you also make it where there's a food desert, where there's no sidewalks, there's no green space. And then people decide to move out. Well, when people move out, somebody's going to move in, and I promise you, they're going to move in for a cheaper price. Okay. And so we got to understand, when there's a concerted effort for us not to have sidewalks, when we clearly have fatalities this year where we've had people killed last year because they were in the road. That is another issue. We need sidewalks, we need green space. But because we are an area of town that are predominantly people of color, people would rather stall us out, work for their developer interests, make us to where some of us will move where the sidewalks are. Some of us will move where the nice dining areas are. Some of us will move where the better schools are. So you got to understand this plan that's in place. And I know some people want to say, well, Khadijah, I don't buy into that. You better buy into it. When you look at the value and the amount of land on this side of town and the proximity to the airport, it is not by any osmosis that we have to fight for the things that we want. Because I don't know about you, but I get 10 calls daily wanting to buy my property. And so we got to understand how that plays into it. We got to understand that we have to have leadership in place that will speak truth to power and fight for those sidewalks, fight for those green spaces, fight for those areas that will enrich and make sure that we stay here instead of leaving. And so the long and short of it is we've got to make sure that we hold our local elected officials, whether it is municipal, county, state, and federal, hold our local officials accountable for the needs of our district and do not let up. Because I promise you, there's no reason that those sidewalks are not in place. When the late Emma Darnell was at the ribbon cutting for the sidewalks, that never got in place. So you don't have a ribbon cutting if there's no money in place. So why hasn't it happened? Why has it been put on the back burner? I have been fighting for it. I will continue to fight for it, but I want you all to raise your voice with me because we deserve the sidewalks. We deserve the green spaces. We deserve a quality of life that is not an environmental threat to us. And we should not have to leave out of our communities for things that we purchase. There's a lot of buying power in South Fulton. We must come together and use that power to the benefit of all of us and not just a few.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. I know we're right at the end. There's a few minutes. I know that there are people on your end that need to go home. So if you could, leave us with something. Tell us, what do you want to say? What can you leave us with until next time?
I'll leave you with two things. One, I'm Commissioner Khadijah. I'm your caring commissioner. I'm your compassionate commissioner. But baby, am I your fighting commissioner? And I will never, ever apologize for fighting for my community. You are the stakeholders. You are the taxpayers that I am accountable to. Now, what I say to you is this: you all sharing that accountability. Please look at people's voting records. Please look at their records, because I promise you, if you vote or you allow people to stay in office who have already showed you that they're not accountable to you and have shown you that you are not important, your needs are not important, and that is allowing, wanting a different result with the same action. And we all know that is the definition of insanity. And I don't think we are insane. I think what has happened is we have voted people in because either a name, a color, or what. We have to take accountability for our lack of vetting, or more important, you know how long you've been waiting on sidewalks. You know how long you've been waiting on Wolf Creek. You know how long you've been waiting on detention centers. You know who you've been calling and they have not responded. You know that the need is great on this side, but when it's time for the funding for the nonprofits, more money goes on the other side. Has to do with, we need to get better at what we do to apply for that money, but some of us are good with what we do, and we still are not getting the funding. So what I say to you, we must make people, election coming up, if it quacks like a duck, if it looks like a duck, guess what? Quack, quack, it's a duck. So please exercise your right to vote people in or out based on what they have shown you. Thank you for allowing me. I am honored to be here to let you know that I serve you and you alone, and I will always be here to serve this community. I know that with this new election that the lines have changed, but I'm not going anywhere. I'm still going to be here to serve this community, even with a new representative. Khadijah's not going anywhere. She's still a phone call away. Thank you, and please be blessed.
Thank you so much, so much for being here and making the time. I know you have to go, so good night to you. Mr. Kelly, Chief of Staff, if you want to or if you can, maybe put your information in the chat again, just for those that maybe came in late or just need that repeat and don't want to scroll all the way up again. I will then turn it over to Richard or Mr. Booth to close it out for this evening. Thank y'all again for coming. Tell everybody, we will definitely have more of these. I know a lot of people in the chat said that this was one of the best ones they've had, one of the most informative they've had. So I'm hoping we can make the next one even better with even more people. So thank y'all again. And I'll turn it over to Mr. Booth or Richard Snelling.
Thank you. I already put my comments in the chat. We'd like to thank everyone for attending this meeting. Thank you for taking the time, especially everyone that stuck with us until this hour of night. We'd especially like to thank our speakers. Commissioner Khadijah, thank you, thank you, thank you. It was wonderful hearing you speak. You did a great job and we appreciate it. We'd also like to thank Mr. Robert Kelly. Thank you for those words earlier. We'd also like to thank our host and moderator, Mr. Jareem Sharp. Come back and host for us anytime. You're great. And also thank you, Richard Snelling, for your continued efforts behind the scenes and in front of the scenes a lot of times too. And I'd like to ask everyone to please consider joining the South Fulton Coalition, or at least donating to keep us going. We like to get this type of information out to everyone. Finally, early voting starts or continues through Friday, May 20th, and Election Day is May 24th. Please vote. Thank you, everybody. Have a blessed evening.